Standard Time. This is just for audio tests. So I'm going to do a couple minutes on each of my Bluetooth, and then I'm going to, so I can review it, and that way I know what I'm getting into when I do live streams. So I'm just going to set the phone here. Right now you're connected to my Raycon Everyday earbuds. So I'm going to tell one story with that. And the reason I'm at the shop today is this morning so early is I just want to make sure I got a cabinet I got to build. Um, and garbage day is tomorrow, so I need to look for plywood. If I don't have enough plywood, I got to go buy a sheet, probably from Menards. And then I also want to get some of the garbage out of here into the dumpster, so I don't lose the benefit of that garbage day. All right. So that's what I'm doing today. So stories. Let's have a story. What kind of story can I tell? At the cabinet shop I worked at, one of the cooler projects we got to do is someone wanted a secret door into their office. So I was not part of the install of that, but I built a lot of the stuff in the shop. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly like how we locked that door. Um, but all I know is that they had a room. I believe they had a piano in it, and we built bookshelves. And the bookshelves had wide stiles in between, kind of have a cool modern look. And then one of the bookshelves swang into the secret office. Like I said, I wasn't on the install of that, so I don't know how they locked it. I don't know how they opened it. I don't know what kind of catch they had. But it is my goal to eventually do a secret room for someone. So if you have any thoughts about that, how you would build a secret room, what you would hide the door with, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Maybe it's something we'll work on together someday. Years later, after working for that cabinet shop, we were installing cabinets at a business. We weren't a part of the secret door, but the owner of the building, and it was a good sized building, multiple offices, multiple little employee lunchrooms. That guy had a powered one where you typed in a code and the door swung open, and it was built into the wall in such a way that it had wood as a fascia over the drywall, and they were interlocking, and so it would open and close, and it was pretty good. It looked pretty seamless when it was closed. So that fellow was able to have himself a secret office, a little more high tech as far as I know than that first one. Although, like I said, I don't know the details of exactly what the catch was on that first one. Okay, so that was two little secret door stories. Let's switch. We're gonna switch now to my 3M work tunes. We're gonna see how that sounds then. So we'll turn on these, and I think I am gonna need to buy a sheet of plywood. Oh, Kirk, it's at a half inch. It's one single vanity. It's not gonna hold a lot of weight. Let me look at that half inch again. So let me see if let me make sure that we're on that. Okay, it looks like we're on the WorkTunes Connects. So I'm gonna turn off the earbuds. Okay, awesome. What other kind of crazy stories can I tell? None of them are crazy. I mean, it's carpentry. So hopefully the audio on these is good too. So heard something funky. So that'll be interesting. We'll find out what happened there. Says it's still connected. I'll have to go back and review this to make sure. Fun memory is I got to do some cabinetry. This was also for the cabinet shop back in the day. I got to do some cabinetry for a customer up in Ellicottville, New York. I do have enough half-inch pre-finished. I think maybe we'll build this cabinet out of half-inch. And I need to see if I have any maple. If I have some maple to do the stiles with, or even some poplar, it's going to get painted. Anyway, got to do some cabinets at It's a person's ski chalet kind of deal up at Ellicottville, New York, real close to Holiday Valley. And I got a buddy. There's no way he's watching this live stream, and he wouldn't care. He's kind of proud of it anyway. But he snored so loud. Okay, so more details. So we went up and measured it, came back. That was a day trip. Built all the cabinets in the shop, got them finished, transported them up there, and me and a friend of mine stayed to install, and the delivery guy, headed back home. And we spent 2 days there installing, and my goodness, the snoring. Like, the next morning we were having breakfast, and I said, Dan, like, you're snoring. The chest capacity, the pressure you must build up to be able to snore like that, I think we need to check the rafters of the house, make sure you didn't do any damage to the house. And that was incredible to listen to. All right, I got some 1 1/8. It's 1-inch stock. Can make some nice styles. It's going to get doors with full overlay, so it doesn't really matter how big the styles are. So you know what? I think we got enough material to go ahead and make this cabinet. But anyway, so pro tip: if you're ever traveling and having to stay overnight, and maybe you're not used to sleeping in the same room or area as your friends, take some earplugs. If I didn't have earplugs, like the little foamy ones you shove in your ears, I would not have slept that night. All right. Let's go to the van. We're going to see how that Bluetooth stereo sounds. And maybe we'll drive around briefly just to get some of the background noises. Hopefully when I switch from this headset to the Bluetooth stereo, hopefully we won't lose the stream. Shouldn't, but hopefully we won't. But then I'll work for a couple hours, go back home and get on with my normal Sunday. All right, the Bluetooth stereo should grab the audio in a second. There, now you don't have a blank screen. Should be on the Bluetooth audio now. Show you're on the Bluetooth audio. Yeah, I'm going to leave the WorkTunes Connect on. Sometimes I found with this Bluetooth, if you turn it off, it kills whatever phone call I'm on. So I don't want to change the stream. All right, let's drive. And maybe we can jump on the freeway briefly. Then I'll head back to the shop and throw some garbage away and clean up a little bit, so that way when I'm here next, I can make a good day of it. Sorry, it's dark. Probably boring. That's probably boring anyway. But I got a watcher, so there you go. My shop's in East Lake, Ohio. About, depending on traffic, 15 to 20 minutes northeast of Cleveland. I love rooting for our sports teams that don't ever quite make it. We did have the Cavs win that 1 year, but Northeast Ohio is perfect weather-wise because you can complain all year. The spring is too wet, the summer is too hot, the fall is too many leaves, and in the winter it's too cold. So it's perfect. You can go ahead and complain all year. There's a cute little historic downtown Willoughby, a couple of blocks of buildings, so there's some nice restaurants, sometimes nice craft stores, jewelry stores, that kind of thing. All right, let's see. take a left on Vine Street. We're going to take a right onto the freeway. We're going to get off the freeway at the very next exit, and then go back to the shop. Oh, you probably want a story. Let me think. About stories. I mean, all the good ones usually involve fellas and nicknames TV. Usually involve show what off. Quite the exhibitionist. I'm pretty sure that none of our customers ever caught him, but he loves to show himself off to his coworkers. Oh boy. Nah, we won't tell one of those stories. But so the other thing would be there's probably a lot of food stories. So if you like that kind of humor, let's go and tell you one. So this one's not too terrible. So I was working late at a job site once, and you know, sometimes your stomach just suddenly says, "Yes, here I am." Like stomach, your bowel. And so I had noted there was no way I was going to make it out to the man of the porta potty. He was on the street. Something bad was about to happen. So I did notice that actually the plumbers had connected the toilet. And of course, you know, working in fancy houses like that, when you connect the toilet, a lot of times they put a sign on it. You know, do not use. And but there was no way I was going to listen to the sign that time. So ran in there, did my business, so relieved. Well, of course, you know, I checked first. I flipped up I checked one of two important things. The thing I checked, make sure there was water in it. I'm like, okay, there's water in it. It means it's been tested. Even if it's been shut off, I can go find a bucket of water and manually flush it. So did my business, very relieved. And I knew I wouldn't have made it after the recording job. But the second thing that you should always check that I didn't check was toilet paper. So since this was, so that was just a little freeway jaunt. We're getting back off of Route 91, Palm Center Road. We'll take a right, and a right, and a right. We'll be in the shop on the left. So I did check the toilet paper. Since they were discouraging use of these toilets, obviously they didn't stock any toilet paper for the construction people. So I had to do the deed. I had a knife on me. It wasn't the sharpest knife, but I got it done. I cut off part of my shirt and cleaned myself up. And of course that had to go into a bag and then into the garbage. Couldn't attempt to flush that down the toilet. I didn't know what strip of cloth was going to do. So there's a little emergency defecation story. You're welcome. And some other hopefully less gross things. Well, we're not back to the shop yet. I'll give you one more, and maybe that'll get it out of my system. So the two installers, Dave and DB, they were working one day. And, you know, sometimes when you're in a construction place, sometimes you don't have the benefit that I had, where at least the plumbing was working at this point. Sometimes you just got to do your business in a bucket. That happens, man. It happens. Keep handling it. So Dave did his business in a bucket because there was no other way to do it. And so he put a lid on the bucket, and he shouted out to DB, probably some revenge for some of the mooning that DB would do to it. So he shouts out, DB, I just caught this huge frog in the backyard. You gotta come see it. So DB runs over, and he's like, yeah, I want to see it. Let's check it out. He's like, oh, dude, you gotta see it. He pops open the lid right under his nose. Oops, not good, not good. Oh, I got one more. My wife's favorite story. But then we'll kill this live stream and I'll go back and play the audio and decide how embarrassing the stories are and whether or not I should post it live. Alright, so my wife's favorite story. So one thing about my old boss, I kind of looked at him as more like an artist. I feel he wasn't a great businessman. I fall a little bit into that. I know that at times I'm not charging enough. And
not negotiating enough. I don't know, something like that. I know I'm not a great businessman. He was a terrible businessman. And and he was an artist, classic stereotypical artist, sometimes doesn't have the social skills. So usually by the end, and especially in the later years before I left, usually by the end of the job, customer would hate him, and he'd hate the customer, and everyone would talk for me. A lot of times I was the only thing that let the job get finished at the end. But there was one customer doing the usual. It was for a customer that lives up here, but was doing his house in Florida, and so we were originally supposed to build and install everything. So by the time the project was winding down, getting close to the install, excuse me, I'm sorry, the customer and my old boss were at their usual. Yeah, we hate each other. So we were off the table for the install. He had Amish people down there doing the install, which was fine. And so I was helping to load the last of the stuff that was going to get delivered to Florida. And the last one piece, instead of getting a box truck like they had rented all the other times, he just got like a Ford Econoline with a normal size one, not a extended like mine. Fords are not super wide, and they're not super tall. This is the days before the high cats were very popular. And so I had to do a lot of cutting to the cabinet to make it fit into the van. And I knew the layout, so I was able to cut it in ways where later on the trim that was going to go on it anyway would cover the cut. So I didn't have any work. So I cut this thing down. I explained to the Amish carpenter on the phone what I'm doing, what he needs to do to install it, and have it look right. So get it all loaded up. And the guy's like, well, what about touch-up paint? What about touch-up paint for this? I don't think we have anything this color yet. And I said, oh, all right, well, I'll find someone. And by then, the finisher had left the finish shop. It was just me and the customer and the delivery fella. And so I saw a can of paint that had the color of the cabinet on it. So I'm like, oh, okay, here's the paint. And pick it up. I'm like, feels like there's some in there. I'm like, go ahead and take this. Worst case scenario is you can have a local paint company match the color on the edge of the can. Oh, okay, that's good. So he leaves, and I tell the finisher about it the next day that I'd given him such a pain. And finisher doesn't say anything for a month. And of course, like I said, by that point, usually my boss and the customers hated each other, so I didn't hear back from the customer at all, which is kind of normal. And so a month goes by, and the finisher tells me, did anyone ever say anything about that touch-up paint? And I said, no. So this is like a gallon of paint can. Well, in the finishing shop, it was a very cheap place to rent. It was close to the wood shop, and the amenities were not great. You could go number one there if you're a guy, but number two is a little tough. A little tough. You'd have to walk down to the wood shop. That I had an emergency man. He's like, I actually took a dump in that paint can and sealed it up. Like I had an emergency. I knew I couldn't make it to the wood shop. I did my business, sealed it up, and used that as a scotch. So at some point, the poor guy probably went to do touch up paint and popped that thing open, and it would have been festering for who knows how long. I can only imagine the horror. But yeah, so yeah, one more number two story for you. You're very lucky, aren't you? Someone's watching me live. Probably got a viewer. I am gonna end the stream now. This was mostly just an audio experiment, see how things sounded with my various moves. So I'll give you 1 minute. Whoever's there, if you want to chat and say hi and ask any questions, give me a minute. Surprised anyone's on the live stream. Of course, I don't know where you're from. What kind of random person you are. Hope your Sunday's a little bit well. It is the ruin. Yes, Devin. How's it going, buddy? I'm just telling poop stories and driving around testing audio. So you might enjoy that on the replay. I have to go to your channel. I have videos to watch. Be in the ruin this weekend with wife and son. Oh, it's All right, that's 20 minutes. I'll see you later, bud. Thanks for looking in. You're the only person that did, as far as I know. But I was just running experiments to listen to later. All right, have a good